right, we're recording.
Yeah.
Hey.
What's going on?
Welcome yet again, friends, family, fight fans, to our 27th episode of The Fight Plug. Where
is it 27?
Yeah, I counted. I started numbering them since the last.
Did you
episode.
know? I guess there's like a stat out there that like there's like hundreds of thousands of podcasts, but there's so many that are like dormant, and like I guess there's just like people just stop at a certain number. I have to look it up, but it's like a certain number that people just stop at, and like it's like just if you just keep going, it works out somehow.
Now I'm very curious to see if we've made it past the hump, or like the typical number.
I think it's like I want to say it's like 13, but then from what I understand, also it's like a certain amount of like hours too. It's like some are longer, some are shorter. Ours is probably on the longer scale, I would imagine. But podcasts kind of feel long, you know?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what your genre is. I just Googled it right now. I put in how many podcast episodes do people usually stop at?
It's like 13, right, or something?
I don't think it really understood my question, because it's giving me stats about like the average amount of podcasts that people listen to.
Yeah.
When do people give up on their podcasts?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good way to start the podcast.
Okay, this is here. I got it right here. So 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 3.
Oh, shit.
That's 1.8 million people who just quit. Of 200,000 that are left, 90% will quit after 20. So that's 20 episodes. That's another 180,000 gone. So to be in the top 1% of podcasts in the world, you only need to publish 21 episodes of your podcast.
Top podcasting, 1%, baby, let's go.
Yeah, podcasting is just those 20,000 podcasters who didn't quit.
That's what's
and
up.
So like I feel like that's that like hang in there, baby. Remember when Marge was making pretzels, and she's like, "Hey, yo, 1987. I mean, I hate to say it, but that cat's probably long dead." Like that. She's like, "Aim low, aim so low that no one gives a fuck if you succeed."
I like that we broke that first stat by like
did,
nine times over. So if they usually stop by the third one, then I mean, we're at 27 now. So unless my bass player math is that fucked up, then I say we're doing pretty good for ourselves. Our product keeps growing and changing every episode as I experiment with things.
Yeah, it's fun. I have a lot of fun. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I've had a super shitty day, a super shitty week, and like I probably should have like, and like the last thing I thought was like to think like, oh well, just say, you know, because it could have easily been like, hey dude, I just can't today, but I just was like, nah dude, this is gonna be cool.
It seems like only the absolute best and worst cards call for us to potentially just have to do like a live day of IG, Instagram or something. Because I was thinking to myself, if we would have flaked one more night on this one, I would have been like, all right.
We could have just had to wait till Saturday.
Yeah, I would be like, you know what, Saturday afternoon, let's just jump on an IG live and talk about it, because there's not a whole ton to talk.
I'm all in a booth at John's Incredible Pizza, like with my kids, like, no, that's mine. Like all yelling. No.
Trying to give a prediction for Mackenzie Dern versus Yan Xiaonan.
Yeah, dude, I've had the weirdest day. I was driving home from like my kids' Muay Thai, and then I was picking up my stepson, and then I'm like in the car with my stepson, and I just see like this single motorcycle light like behind me, like pulling up, and then I go, "What the fuck is this?"
It's not our friend, is it? Our mutual friend?
No. And then I keep swerving. It was that type of person though, and then he's just swerving behind me, and I'm like, why? And then I slow down. I go, okay, well, pass me. And then he didn't want to pass me. And then he goes up, and then he's looking at me, and I was like, oh, what do you want, you know? And he's like, I fucking know you, it's me. And then he pulls down his mask, and then he's like, it's me, Angel Lopez. And I was like, I don't know. In like some old ass man in
really?
Clovis. I'm never in that area, so I have no idea who you are, dude. And he's like, "It's me, Angel. I called your bluff that time, motherfucker."
Oh,
and I was like, "What?" I go, "I don't know you. I don't know you." He's like, "Roll down your window." And so I roll my window down. I go, "Okay, what's going on?" And then my stepson is like 8 years old in the back, just like, "What the fuck,
out,
dude?"
Yeah.
So then I look back and he's knocked out asleep. So I'm just like, "Okay, cool, fine." So then the guy's like, "Yeah, I fucking know you. I told you to fucking fight and you didn't." And I was like, "I don't know who you are, dude. I have no idea." He's like, "Yeah, I fucking told you." And I was like, "Hey, go suck a cock." I go, "Why don't you go fucking suck a cock?" Like, just, I was just mad, dude. And he was like some tiny little, like one of those guys that like wears like old guys rule t-shirts, like driving his fucking, like, that's not a Harley, dude. Like, and it's one of those cruisers with like the saddles sides, it's all plastic.
All right. He's ready to go nomad.
Yeah,
if
and it's like,
necessary.
"Okay, dude." And it's like, "The best grandpas are born in January" shirt on. You know what I mean? Like, shut up, dude. And I'm just like livid, dude. I just had the craziest, like, just craziest. So then we're driving home, and then I hear like, and I thought it was a motorcycle again, right? So I like roll down the window and I'm like, "Oh my god, is that guy like following me and my stepson like that? I can't have this. Isn't my son. You know what I mean? It's my stepson, but not my son. So like, I can't. If it was my kid, I'd just be like, "Hey, chill right here. Daddy's gonna
take care of this.
Daddy's got to take care of this, okay?" But I can't do that in front of this kid,
Yeah.
So I stop, and then it's my tire is just completely blown out. So then I'm stopped right there on Temperance and Belmont, and I go, "Let me put air in there." So like, he's like all freaked out, and I go, "Well, I'll go buy you candy, dude." He's like freaked out. He's like, "Some guy tried to kill us on a motorcycle. Now fucking this shit, like, you're saying your car's fucked up." So I go buy him candy. He's chilling right there eating, and then like I'm putting air in, and then the air's just coming out hella hot, and I'm just like, "Oh my god." So like, I take the tire off. It's just completely torn on the inside, like just ripped. And I'm like, "Dude, if we almost got on the 180, we would have died."
Shit, yeah.
So like, I changed it. I drove back over here. I was just like the fucking stupidest day, dude.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you had a spare ready to go and you got on
dude,
the road.
I
Didn't have
got
to pay
it.
for a tow truck or something.
Fuck no. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, with the shop, we have like a shop account. Like, the guy would have just came and got it. So
there you go. The perks. That's
what's up. Yeah, fucking. I just changed it and drove, and we're good. So.
Well, I'm glad to have you here with us. In spite of all that, my day wasn't nearly as bad. Pretty average day for me. But
yeah, that's cool. How are you feeling, man? You feeling better now?
Oh yeah, I'm back to completely 100%. What I'm like,
that's good.
2 weeks past COVID now.
Oh, right on. Okay.
But yeah, ready to talk some fights. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the interest of full transparency, I rewatched one of those fights that I said I was going to rewatch.
The Horiguchi fight?
No, I couldn't find the Horiguchi fight. The resource that I used to rewatch fights decided that the Benson Henderson fight and the Kyoji Horiguchi fight weren't important enough to have up on the show, unless you saw them.
So it was only Mayweather?
No, I didn't even find that one. Well, you know what? I didn't look for Mayweather because, I mean, that fight lasted like, 2 rounds, apparently? It was a 3-round fight, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
But I just...
He looked good.
I just watched the Yoel Romero fight. So
I
have that to recap.
Wow.
And we could talk a little bit about the Floyd Mayweather stuff because I think that's interesting.
Good. Yeah, he looked very good. I've seen someone who's seen like pretty much every fight he's had, especially in the last like 12 years. He looked fine. He looked like he could do it still. Like it didn't look like I guess there was like Pretty Boy Floyd, and then there was Money Mayweather. He was not Pretty Boy Floyd. He wasn't Money Mayweather, but he's like good enough. I'm pretty sure he could fight and contend. I could imagine.
What is this newest incarnation of Floyd Mayweather who goes and gets paid a couple mil to just devour Japanese fighters?
Yeah. Oh, thank God you finished with the ease. I was like, "What? You're gonna double down with the Japanese?" And I was like, "Please." Please. I'm the xenophobic one.
Is Floyd Mayweather laundering his money through Rizin? Is that what's happening here? Is he handing them a big old bag of cash and saying, "Here you go. Here's my cash. Now write me a check to destroy one of your Japanese fighters"?
We watch too much Better Call Saul, dude, I think.
Probably. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think to myself, like, how much
he's done it with Japanese guys before with that one kickboxer.
Yeah, Tenshin,
that little guy.
Yeah, this is like the third of these exhibition matches in Rizin.
Yeah.
And it just makes me wonder, like, how much of a bump in viewership are they realistically getting from Floyd Mayweather? Because I really doubt that many people from the boxing world who were following
the Japanese bag, though, the Japanese bag is crazy. Mm-hmm. Just because, and like the Southeast Asian bag is just because it's not just Japanese. It's like the crowd that watches one. You're talking about there's a lot of Asian countries that will just watch. Mm-hmm. Will watch that, and they're just like, it's the same thing, like us having that weeb culture of people that love Japanese things. They have that culture for our fighters,
and of course, the very rich
for our black fighters, like for specifically our black fighters, like, and they have that crazy superhero complex where like Floyd Mayweather's never fucking lost, and so like he's got to lose to a Japanese fighter. Like, have you ever seen?
Like they are very willing to buy into mysticism like that.
Yeah, that guy. I think I could be wrong now, but I think it was the same dude who fought Floyd way back, the kickboxer. He has a crazy following of like teenage girls, right? Isn't that right? Like he's like this crazy heartthrob.
Tenshin.
Yeah.
I mean, he certainly fits the profile. I don't really know too much about him in his personal life. But.
So I guess he was on the come up, and then they put I've talked about before, Bukao, who's like the greatest like Thai fighter ever, according to, at least when like he was like Thai import. He was like the first Thai K1 Max champ, and he's won twice, and back into like the early 2000s, and then they had tension fight, and then the guy had like it was all these little Japanese girls showed up, and they're just like, oh, and then they had like the cardboard cutouts of his face, and they're just like, I love you, marry me, blah blah, and then Bukao just beat the living shit out of him. It was insane, and I just remember like, oh, they did, but then they had heard like, okay, this is Bukao, he's K1 Max champion. He has a superhero type physique. He's like a dark skinned Thai. Mm-hmm. They're just like, ooh. So then now our pretty boy's gonna beat the shit out of him. Watch, and they just always want that, and then it didn't happen. I think that's why Bob Sapp got over so good there, because he was just like, just this huge. And then Rampage. Remember Rampage was such a big thing over there. Yeah, I think they fetishize that kind of shit. I think it's like a fetish of theirs. Like we have our guys that have a weird I kind of prefer their fetishization of it than like our fat guys that eat Doritos that like jag off to cartoons of like little girls. I think that's what they kind of fetishize is a little more honorable, I guess you could say. Like they just want to beat our toughest guys' asses. Like we send our guys over there to buy panties and shit, like just take it easy.
Body pillows and such.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting comparison. I'm going to go ahead and apologize on behalf of Brandon to any of our JMMA fans that we may have offended. But I think you guys have it right, though. I can't say I completely disagree.
I do think that it's just like a fetishization.
I'm way more into the idea of someone who has a Bob Sapp fucking like huggy snuggy pillow.
Yeah, want to see him and then want to see a Japanese hero beat him, because I know they have that even to this day, like Japanese pro wrestling, they will have an American go, and then I'm not sure, it's been a while, but we kind of did a few things to them that kind of sucked. And so they will have literally like how we would have Iranian wrestlers, and like our guys, the Ultimate Warrior would beat the fuck, or the Hulkster would like fucking kick the shit out of like the Iron Sheik.
Yeah,
like they have like some Uncle Sam version.
They like to summon the American Giant and see if they could have Minnow Man defeat him and stuff. And
then he does, but like at the very last second, and then like, you know, the temperature's not as crazy as it is in Hiroshima anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like they turn back the clock, like Superman runs backwards or whatever. But you know what was super crazy about that was that like everyone was like, dude, that's so terrible what we did. Did you know that they were like cutting hair close to releasing the bubonic plague in New York? And it would have killed like so many fucking people in like such a wild ass way.
It would still be in the rats in New York. They wouldn't have never gotten rid of it. Like
no, but yeah, it would. That's what they
something
what they said.
Like 8 rats per one person in New York.
Yeah, that they were going to like unleash a bubonic plague, and it was going to spread across America. And it was like this crazy ass like version to like a hyper, like it would have just spread like no other, dude.
Mm-hmm. I'm very interested in learning more about all the times in human history that we've almost destroyed ourselves, or at least wiped off, or almost wiped off certain sections of the map. And I have a feeling that I'd probably be a little shocked at how many times we've come close that we don't know about.
It's uneasy. It's an uneasy feeling.
Yeah. How many more of these Japanese exhibition boxing matches do you think Floyd Mayweather has in him? Is he the kind of guy?
Fight Conor, right? Isn't he? Aren't they saying like he's like kicking around the fighting Conor?
All I know is they exchanged tweets recently. I think he'd said something about
Conor, dude.
I think he was saying something along the lines of like, I like to fight safe fights. I don't like to fight in fights where I get hit, and I don't have to worry about that with these MMA fighters. So it kind of seemed like he was a backhanded way of coveting that fight and kind of throwing it out there and saying that he's open to it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know. I kind of feel like that fight doesn't sell as much as it did the first time. It's certainly going to make a lot of money still, and there's no reason for them to not do it. But I would put my money on them selling less tickets to that fight, unless there's people who have like convinced themselves that Conor is somehow better and waited till and Floyd is older now, because that fight was 5 years ago now. So there might be some people who think that would give Conor an edge somehow. I don't see the result being too much different, especially considering I'm pretty convinced that Floyd Mayweather carried him for most of that fight.
Yeah, and the only difference I see in Floyd now is that when in his defense, he had a little bit of that like I'll style on you type of defense, where he angled his body where it's like a turn, and then the guy who does it now is actually Japanese. It's that Naoya Inoue. Have you seen that dude fight Inoue? The monster, dude. He's a tiny little guy. He's like 120 pounds. Oh my god, dude. And I felt bad like almost instantly that we were talking about boxers in the last one. You have to watch this guy, dude. He's absolutely amazing. But he kind of uses that Floyd Mayweather defense where he kind of like steps. It's like a karate type halfway stance, to where he can kind of like but you have to have insane reflexes and shoulder rolls, and it sets up counters really well. And Floyd does it. It's like he does the Floyd the version of Floyd Mayweather, but he has the way crazier power, like more psycho power and timing. And Floyd has that still. He does it still, but when you do that, there's a element where you have to move your head right at the right second. Like it's like so many times you would trip out, like especially when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, he would just have his body turn, he'd roll his shoulder, but then Oscar would come over the top with the right, and then Floyd would, he'd pretty much done everything, and then he would just kind of like move his chin back slightly or turn his neck, and he would miss by like centimeters, right? Well, Floyd's, I don't know what it is, but he's just get older. He's kind of got clipped a couple times where he was trying to move his head out of the way, and he was just a tick slow. And even at his best, he was getting missed by centimeters. Now he's taking the shots, but he has a really crazy fucking chin, dude. So it's not as big a deal, but that's where I can see. I don't know. Maybe Conor's got that left that he hit Floyd with it, and there was fucking nothing. Mm-hmm. But that was years ago now. So.
Yeah, hard to say since we haven't seen Conor really box since then, or at least not boxing a pure like boxing rule set. And I'm not the biggest boxing guy either, so it's a hard one for me to assess. But I feel like Conor, and it's weird too because I don't want to say that I feel like Conor wouldn't be as hungry to try and get a win and shock the world as he was in the first time around, because I don't necessarily think he wasn't really trying to shock the world the first time around either. Yeah. I mean, it would have been a nice little bonus, but I think he was mostly just trying to get the bag.
Yeah. I mean, I would pay for that again. I'd want to see it. I just think it might be a little closer, but the only way Conor would win would be to knock him out. And Floyd's chin is just so good. His chin is legendary, dude.
He'd have to catch Floyd on a really bad day.
Yeah,
like beyond like the X's and O's of what they were doing in the I keep wanting to say the cage.
Yeah.
And the general strategy that they bring, like he'd have to catch Floyd Mayweather on his worst day, just going in there feeling like shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another ageless fighter, Yoel Romero, getting the finish over Melvin Manhoef in round 3 of their fight at Bellator 285. 45 versus 46, a combined 91 years of age in the cage in this
Melvin
one.
started in 1995.
The guy's crazy. Like I said, timeless. What's your favorite Melvin Manhoef fight, if you have one?
He fought. It was in Dream. There's a few different fights that he fought in Dream, and it was back when he would get brought in on the leash. God damn. It was that, but it wasn't a win. It was like a crazy ass knockout by that dude that used to dress like a Kuma. Remember, he used to come out with God damn it, what's his name? But he would come out like a Kuma from fucking with like the big old oversized beads in the hair.
Are you talking about the White Mare? What's his name? He's a Lithuanian.
Yeah,
fighter.
I think so.
Well, mine was his fight with Evangelista Santos, the male cyborg Santos.
Male cyborg, yeah.
Yeah, that was an epic fight that they had.
Yeah.
Where both guys were just, I mean, I don't even want to describe it. It's just a complete back and forth banger. Lots of swings and momentum. And then also both guys being completely gassed.
Yeah.
But still just going for the kill with every shot. Just throwing desperation shots. Like, where there's one where we call, he throws the hammer fist of the gods, where it's like he has Melvin Manhoef up against the cage and is just throwing everything at him and can't get him out of there until he finally just resorts to just putting his hand over his head and like coming down like a hammer on him.
Yeah,
it's just a great one. I would recommend everyone go back and watch that one. I've just been on YouTube for a long time too.
And then I think he fought. There's one against Mike Zambides, but I think that was in like kickboxing. It was like a kickboxing, which was like the Turkish Tyson. He fought Mike. That was a crazy ass fucking fight. But man, I mean, he's been fighting since. I mean, shit. I was fucking 6 years old or some shit. So it's pretty wild. And then the Dutch style kickboxing, when it's good, dude. So, oh man,
yeah, I'll never forget him knocking out Mark Hunt in like 18 seconds. Yeah, it was 18 seconds. Back in 2008, when Mark Hunt was just known for having like a granite chin. Still, I mean, he's still to this day is known for his otherworldly chin.
I mean, he's the only guy to ever. I mean, imagine. Like Krokop's left kick didn't kill Mark Hunt, but fucking Melvin Manhoef put him down.
Yeah, with a punch, man. Yeah. So Manhoef was something else in his day, but he went up against, like I said, the ageless one, Yoel Romero, and we didn't make predictions for this fight on our last episode, or did we talk about it? I don't think we did.
I think we said like that's happening, but I don't think we like broke down what would happen. So
yeah, this was pretty much exactly how I pictured the fight going, and it went on longer than I thought it would. Lasted longer than I thought, but Yoel Romero wasn't getting the takedowns traditionally, like in the beginning he was, but Yoel is always more than content lately to give us that typical like Yoel style fight where he's just going to stand there and he's not going to move any more than he has to. He's just going to pivot in one place to make sure he's facing you, and he will react to your strikes, or just kind of like throw a feint to try and get you to just give him an opening. And that's what it was until Melvin Manhoef tried to attack, and then he would counterattack and just kind of show Manhoef that even though Manhoef still looked like he has the speed, which is insane to think about.
His speed and reflexes have always been, it's crazy. And then I remember one of the coolest I've ever looked like in a family type setting was, it was like New Year's, and I had recorded Dynamite on HDNet, and it was like they had like Petrosian and Jojo Petrosian was fighting there when it was like a mix of almost like what one FC does it now all the time. But they used to do it. It would be Sengoku, Dream, and K1 would send all their best fighters out, and then it would just be like, okay, this is a K1 match, then this is the Sengoku champ against the Dream champ, and then this is okay, well, this is the finale to the Victory Road tournament, and it was pretty fucking sick. And I remember he was fighting on it, and I just remember like, so my family, they're like, okay, so what is this? This is Japanese fighting. And I was like, well, watch this guy right here. This guy's fucking wild. And then he came out with the fucking gladiator shorts on, and then he was just in the fucking wrestling shoes, and he was just fucking wild. He was just so fucking fast. And that's what like people want to see, you know? Like if you were to watch like arguably the best fighter like Fedor, who was very slow and plodding, but he was quick when he needed to be, but he just wasn't an explosive ass fighter. You know, Melvin was just, when he was, even like you said in this last fight, he was so fucking fast. He just, everything he did was with like reckless abandon and with like just evil. He just wanted to fucking hurt you.
Yeah, and never a straight punch at all. Just terrifying, just looping twisted hooks. Yeah. And always changing levels, going to the body, entering and exiting with leg kicks. And yeah, he was just violence coming at you. But Yoel Romero on his back, that just wasn't present, and that's where Yoel put him. And he finished and put him out cold with some nasty elbows from Mount. Luckily, Manhoef looks fine, and luckily it was like that, and it wasn't like a prolonged beating on the right. Standing, which I thought it might potentially turn into if Romero decided if Romero had decided
shout out to the Filipino barber,
to my barber. If Romero had decided not to take it to the ground for whatever reason, that sustained punishment to his head could have been pretty bad. But he has a moment with his family. He brings his daughters into the cage. He starts crying. It kind of gave me shades of like Mark Coleman back when Fedor beat him in Pride, and he brought his daughter.
Like, go meet the guy that just kicked the shit out of me.
Yeah. Yoel Romero. Let me take a look at his record and how many fights into Bellator he is. This is his third Bellator fight, and he is 2-1 in Bellator so far, with his only loss coming to Phil Davis in his debut. He has a win over Alex Polizzi and now Melvin Manhoef. I'm not super intimately familiar with Bellator's middleweight division. I don't even like the UFC's middleweight division.
Yeah.
But if you think that there are any interesting bouts for Melvin Manhoef, for Yoel Romero outside of or inside or outside of their middleweight division, this only makes me wonder what happened with Anthony Rumble Johnson and why he never came back, because I know at one point I think they even booked Rumble versus Romero for a sec there. They were going to do the right thing.
I saw a poster.
And then Rumble had posted kind of cryptically that he was going through something, and he was going through like one of the toughest things in his life health-wise, and that for everyone...
Isn't he just like a piece of shit, though?
He definitely is, yes. And nothing ever came from that. He never expanded on what it was, that he was, his health trouble that he was having. And then he never came back. But I still think that is...
Guys, I broke my hand on my girlfriend's face, dude. Sorry about that. Like one of those deals.
Something, man. So I would be excited for that fight. I think that's a thing to do. I'm sure that there are some some light heavyweight fights for him there that I might not be considering. In fact, was this last fight at light heavyweight, or were they both? Yeah, they were at light heavyweight. So, with a few more wins, I don't see any reason why he can't just fight Ryan Bader. Also,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
There was a tweet, and I had forgot about it, and it was one of the very few times because, like, I guess I refuse to accept that Daniel Cormier was pretty badass and pretty fucking cool at one point. And it was in, I think it was like when he was fighting Rumble Johnson, and Ryan Bader tries to fucking crash the and he's like, Ryan Bader, you're a fucking pussy. You're a fucking loser. No. Shut the fuck up. And then he tells Rumble Johnson, like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, Ryan Bader, you're a fucking pussy. And he like just fucking just takes Ryan Bader's soul with a microphone. Yeah. He's like, you're a fucking pussy. It's like, I'll fight you because I need easy money. Yeah. I want like the way he did it was
you're the easiest fight in the division. Yeah, come on, Ryan Bader. I want the hard fights. Yeah,
which was true. And good for Ryan Bader for doing whatever he's doing now. But it was true. And the way I was like, damn. I was like, damn. That's like when you see like that your uncle that wears his pants above his belly button at the cookouts now. When you see him, and then like someone shows you like his old football tape, and you're like, damn, Uncle got down back in the day. Like, damn, Daniel Cormier was a fucking monster. And he was just, you could tell he was hungry. He was cutting weight. He was just fucking mad. And the way he just put Ryan Bader in his place so fucking dirty.
Yeah, and you make a good point about that too. It definitely must have been really close to fight day when he was still cutting weight and probably frustrated at cutting down to 205, which was never easy for him. And then for Ryan Bader, of all people, to have the audacity to try and call him out in the middle of his press conference. I do remember that. He just went all in on him.
And you just know in some wrestling room along the, because they were like, Arizona State wrestler like Ryan Bader you're a fucking top-notch guy. Mm-hmm. And being that weight class, that they had cross paths in the wrestling room somewhere along the line. And Cormier just probably fucking owned the fuck out of him. And he's just like, really, dude, we're in some smelly, hot wrestling room and I kicked the fuck out of you, and then now when there's cameras you want to come and talk. Like, that was pretty fucking cool. I remember that.
Pete Cormier, I don't ever remember him going so hard on anyone else who came at him with like kind of regularity. Really, it wasn't like anything special. It wasn't anything super disrespectful. Just the fact that it wasn't was like Ryan Bader.
Yeah. It wasn't like and it wasn't even but you could tell he's just hungry as fuck.
Because I mean, John Jones has come at him way worse, and he's been able to engage with him and still kind of have a smile on his face, like the whole "Are you still there, pussy?" He's still laughing, like, you're such a fucking snake. But no, he had no time for Ryan Bader's shenanigans.
That was hilarious. And that was when Ryan Bader was still kind of like, he's good, man. He's pretty close. He might could do something, but he just never could.
Yeah, he was destined to always just kind of be a guy at that light heavyweight division at that time. Even now, I could see him being the top 10 light heavyweight in the UFC. Also, I mean, definitely probably around the 6 through 10 range. The second, the lower half of the top 10. Let's get into, since we didn't watch any of the other fights, we will mention that Kyoji Horiguchi got back into the win column.
I watched that fight. That was a good one.
Snapped his 2-fight losing streak. Did he?
Yeah, and he got knocked down hard. And I think the craziest flex to me, my only thought when I saw it, because he didn't get just like knocked down, because he was coming forward like fast, and then the guy just popped him and put him right on his fucking back, and it was like, whoa. And then it's a mat, so it makes that pro wrestling like bang, and then like the fucking, you see the fucking the ropes move and shit. You're just like, Jesus Christ. But I think one of the sickest flexes in all of mixed martial arts is when you get knocked down and you come back and submit the guy, and like fucking, that is the hardest, because like you can see like back and forth where a guy gets knocked down and then you kind of catch a punch when he's, getting a little too comfortable and not keeping his hands up, and you knock the other guy down or knock the other guy out. We've seen that. But I think to get knocked back on your ass that hard, and to like still have the wherewithal to like get up, fight, and put yourself in a plus position and choke the guy out, that is fucking that's very impressive to me. Anytime anyone can do that, because you have to be super clear of mind. Either you have to be super clear of mind to be able to do that, and it's, to my understanding, he's a karate guy, right? So he's not like a submission grappler. Because to my understanding, he's a karate base. Like, he's always been a karate guy.
Only has four wins by submission in his career.
Yeah, so then it's not like it would be one thing if you knocked out knocked down Gilbert Burns, and like he's just like his mind, or like Charles Oliveira, because that's what makes Charles Oliveira fucking badass, is because he's like been knocked the fuck out, and then he can still be clear and choke someone out or grab an arm, and that has to be so fucking hard to do, because that is so hard to do, and so like mentally draining to do.
Yeah, for Charles, it's in his muscle memory. Like that guy, I don't know if you saw the most recent Spider-Man movie where Doctor Strange like knocks his soul out of his body and he's going to grab the box, but the Spidey sense is still moving his arm around and doesn't let him grab it. Right. That's kind of like how Charles Oliveira is. Like he could be unconscious.
Right, he didn't have to think about it. Right, because that's his base. But if you're a karate fighter and you're able to stay clear and then go and take a guy down and choke him out after being like knocked senseless, that's fucked. That just shows you're a fucking true ass fucking savage. That you can just like, okay, fuck it.
And to potentially put yourself in a situation where you could end up on in a bad position or a worse position, or the bottom on the ground, to take more punishment after you've already been put on your ass. That is a little bit of a concern, because of the last time that we saw, because I wasn't actually aware that he got dropped pretty bad. Last time we saw him get dropped, also, it was that Sergio Pettis spitting back fist, and that was also like there was no way he could have seen that strike coming. But he still, they caught him being ultra aggressive and just coming in with so much, like with his speed, and
he was literally running in and got knocked the fuck back in this one. It was jarring. It was like, whoa, what the fuck, dude?
So I wonder if there's something that he'll need to address there, being a little bit less.
He is one of the cooler fighters, though. It's just cool. Like back in the day, remember, rest in peace, Kid Yamamoto was just fucking cool. Like you're just like, that guy's cool. And like I hated this about myself, but I just would like, oh, that guy's cool. I would want to hang out with that guy. And like, that's like, you shouldn't be that way. You should just be like, oh, okay. But like that, just like he reminds me of a lot of like Kid Yamamoto, where they're just fucking cool as fuck. Like, you would just want to hang out with them.
Yeah, I want to go fishing with Kyoji Horiguchi.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's an avid fisherman, apparently. He's like super
Is that right?
fishing. Like in his free time, like if you see him like looking at his cell phone, apparently he's watching videos about fishing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah,
super into fishing.
And I bet you like the way that the Japanese fish, it's not easy. It's like the hardest way to do it too, more than likely.
Yeah, well, convoluted and shit. Cool. Yeah. Is there, okay, we could talk about, even before we get into Mackenzie Dern versus Yan Xiaonan. How about you break down or give us a recap of the Bo Nickal fight that happened last night? Oh,
dude, that was amazing. And you know what's so crazy is you can just go back to when we talked about his last fight and then cut that, and then just, I'll shut up right now, and then you can cut that out and then put it in. It's the exact same thing.
I don't want and then you I deleted that episode.
Yeah. And you was that the one you deleted?
No, I that's not the one I deleted by mistake, but by now I've deleted that episode.
Oh, right. No, but I was gonna say, like, I just remember watching it again. And I go, wait a minute, like I said all that, but that's pretty cool. And I'm like, dude, it's pretty cool that like no one's gonna. At one point, someone is gonna know. Everyone's gonna know, especially people that listen to this podcast. They're gonna know who that guy is at some fucking point. I mean, it's just whether he does great or doesn't. He's going to be known. And I'm just so excited that I watched the fight live. I had a podcast with you, and I explained it to you, and then it made fucking sense, and then he did the same shit again, and then everything I said, I was like, dude, they all come out and they talk, and they're like, oh, and it is like it's the same shit that guy has seen, and I think he was 7-2, the guy that he fought, who had a pretty decent record, guaranteed. The guy's seen takedowns, the guy's seen feints from wrestlers, like, but it's just completely different. It's just whatever it is. And I think the thing that I mentioned too was that, and I made this mention in this podcast again, but I'm going to say it again. When you're out, like, have you ever been like to the San Diego Zoo?
No, I've never been to.
So like you go to the San Diego Zoo, and then they have like this crazy ass safari type ride, and then you're seeing elephants, you're seeing giraffes, and then it's like okay, and then you see this like crazy ass leopard, and you're like, that just does not look right to me. Like the way that leopard moves, the way that leopard fucking is just walking, he's just walking. That fucking thing can fucking hurt me. And like I think that's why God made them spotted like that, and the way they walk, because it's supposed to like signal like this is dangerous, fucking dangerous. Yeah. Like that's Bo Nickal is fucking dangerous. And then I was watching with my girl, and I told her, I go, if you and I are at fucking Manchester Mall, and a dude with ears like that is fucking yelling, just walk away and don't expect me to do shit about it.
Yeah.
I go,
give me the look, none of that.
Yeah, he could be Redbeard, and then you're gonna look at me, and I'm gonna go ears. I'm gonna point at his nubs, and then you're gonna and just understand like there's nothing Daddy could do about it. All right, like we just gotta go. Because like time to go.
You have to take the high road.
Yeah, dude. Because like look at him. He's a red bearded little like but he's just dangerous. Dude.
He's from the Shire.
Yeah, that shit. It just did. And this is the one thing that I kind of wanted to make a point about Bo Nickal is that every sport it evolves, but it devolves to a certain extent. To where like football back in like 2008, 2009, it was Peyton Manning, it was Tom Brady, shotgun, and just 4 or 5 receivers, and they're just throwing little screens, throwing little slants, and just beating a bigger overmatched defense who was slow and plodding and really couldn't kind of keep up with the smaller, faster guy. And they were just able to pick you apart with like death by 1,000 cuts. Where MMA was kind of the same thing too, because it started with, and I made the mention to you, it was like that Hammer House style of like Mark Kerr, Mark Coleman, just fucking wrestle you, pull your ass down, keep you close, and dirty box the shit out of you. Or fucking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu where you're on the ground, you're close, you're gonna fuck up and leave a limb or your neck, and they take it. And that was just mixed martial arts for a long, long time. And then you got to where like you had the Carlos Condit, you had the guys or the John Jones, these like insane, or Shogun Rua was like OG Pride type where it was just he could do every fucking thing, but his striking it was just out from the outside, and then he would just pick you apart with fucking his striking. And I feel like mixed martial arts, I mean, maybe not so much, but when that's what made Khabib so special was that it was devolved down to like the purest form of what mixed martial arts really was, to where I'm going to hold you down, and I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. And what Bo Nickal does is it's to like the craziest degree of that now, to where like in football, one of my favorite teams, the 49ers, in 2010, 2011, they were running like a 2 tight end set with fullbacks and fucking I formation, where everyone was like, what the hell? Oh, well, no, dude, this is what they ran in the fucking 40s. But everybody had gotten so small on the perimeter and such smaller linebackers to go up against a spread shotgun set, to where if someone came in and just ran right through your fucking face, you weren't ready for that, because you weren't training to do that, and you didn't set your roster to be that way. And so now, and then the athletes that were blocking and basically running a high school thing, these athletes are pro athletes, pro conditioned athletes that are fucking insanely faster now. So they're running like an old school Notre Dame offense at this insane athletic pace. And that's what Bo Nickal's doing. Like, he's not doing anything different. It's just so fucking fast. It's so fucking explosive that, like, there's just literally nothing you can do. And the reason why wrestling is the base is because it's the hardest thing to take down. So when you have someone who is like levels beyond what anyone else has ever done in the sport, and he is so competent, it just doesn't matter. That's what makes Hamzat so fucking scary. It's what makes, it's what Kamaru Usman was it, but Usman's kind of regressed into where he that's why he fucking lost. That's why he fucking lost to Leon Edwards. Is he just why are you there, dummy?
Yeah, because at a point where he was so clearly ahead, and then, we don't root for fighters to coast, really, But if you're Usman, or if you're in Usman's corner, you want him to survive that 5th round and get that easy decision. So should we at least be looking to take that fight to the ground? But no, he was willingly standing with Leon Edwards, and I don't think we'll ever see a version of Bo Nickal who's doing that and giving their opponent any advantage that they don't deserve, any unearned advantage. And like you said, it's like melding of like just a skill set that you would need a lifetime to even come close to matching. Just like a different next level athlete who has a different mind for wrestling, mixed with like the latest advances in sports science, and a guy who's had nutritionists working with him since day one, and has it's crazy, man. Bo Nickal is going to eat the middleweight division alive. He's going to feed them their own dicks.
It's very scary because it's day one shit. It's like, okay, everybody, today we're going to learn how to stop a double leg takedown. Okay, everybody's done it. And so if the guy can just do it to you, and what the fuck are you gonna do now? You can't even get past day one shit with this guy.
Bo Nickal,
what the fuck are you gonna do now?
Bo Nickal kind of threw basically like a decoy overhand left to lead into a single leg takedown, and that decoy is what almost knocked his opponent out and put him on his ass. Because like he's throwing that, and is like, as soon as it landed, before it landed, he's already reaching for the left leg.
Yeah, he's right behind the leg and pulls it back. And that guy went, like, I remember, and I'm so glad I had the chance to be on this podcast, because like I talked about in his last fight, the takedown, it's not anything. A wrestling takedown isn't anything we haven't seen before. He didn't go in there like flipping and sideways turning, trying to do anything. It was just the same shit, but it just looks insane. It just does not look real. And his opponent was like, fuck. And when they were doing the pre-fight, he's like, oh, he don't know what the fuck. He ain't seen this shit. He don't fucking know. Fuck that. And it's like, nah, dude, this shit is going to be wild. And that guy's face was just like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck was that? And you can, we said it.
He barely didn't go out cold. He just barely didn't go to sleep.
Which is sadistic. That's a sadistic thing to where just kill the guy. And he probably could have, but he's like, nah, dude, like a spider fucking with the food. Like, you know how the spiders, they just kind of like spin it, and they spin it. Just eat my head. Just suck everything out of my head. They're just like, nah, I'm gonna spin you a little bit here.
I love when a guy sets up a triangle from the top, from mount, and then like flips the opponent over. That way, by the time he flips over to where he's on his back, it's already locked in. He just has to shift his legs. It's just beautiful, man. Like he was like kind of like what you mentioned about how Hamzat was almost just like floating over Kevin Holland. No matter how Kevin Holland moved, Hamzat was just able to maintain a perfect center of balance. Yeah, that's what we saw from Bo Nickal.
Like that weeble wobble type of, like, you can push them but they don't fall, they just kind of turn. It's just like, well, man, that's like, it defies like physics. It's just weird to see.
Or like when they hold the chicken.
And the neck just stays. Exactly. That's what is got to be scary for a lot of people. They're gonna act like it's not. Of course, every fighter up until he gets to, even now, every fighter is going to be like, I've seen this a million times. He's never seen me. It just does not, right? You saw it. I know you saw even the highlight is the whole fucking fight.
Yeah, you could watch it all there. But I didn't watch like all the scrums and everything though, which I should go back and watch. But yeah, I mean, it's very likely there's a lot of potential for him to get the push really fast, even though they slow rolled him on Dana White's Contender Series, made him fight twice.
I want to bring something up too about that Dana White's Contender Series, because he gave basically everybody a contract in this last season, right? Cool, that's fine, good for those guys. But there's fighters on Dana White's Contender Series who were more than just like a human interest story, or more than just they did good. They came out and looked good. They won, and they didn't get it. And Dana's like, well, it's the last season. Everybody gets a fucking contract. You get a contract, and you get a contract. And it's like, dude, you literally like fucked over guys who fought it. Like maybe it was like episode 3 or 4 who deserved it, but you just didn't give it to them because you just didn't want to do it in that moment. Yeah. And so now at the end, it's like, no, it's the last season. You won, so you get it. And it's like, or what did they say about that guy? Because Volkanovski was his buddy. And then what's the other guy's name? Not Brad Riddell, but the other dude's name. He spars with him. He's an Australian guy, and went through Dana White's Contender Series. God damn it! But Dana's like, well, you know him, and if you've trained with him and you've trained with Volk, because the guy won, but it wasn't anything like eye popping. Like you're supposed to like really jump off the fucking screen to get a contract, not just win.
You're supposed to be Joe Pyfer.
Yeah. And so they're like, well, okay, you won, you did a good job, you took it to decision, that's great, but I know you trained with Volkanovski, and I'm sorry, god damn it, I'm mad that I can't think about the other guy's name, this other Australian guy. But and yeah, I know you played rugby, so you'll get a contract. And it's like, what, dude? What? Like, there's dudes that fucking came out. They've been fighting literally for like their lives, busted ass, got a fucking sick ass knockout. But that night you're just like, I've been giving too many contracts out. I'm not going to give it. And then this night you're going to give it. What the fuck?
In retrospect, those might be the guys who got lucky, because they didn't get stuck in some like bullshit contract where they're fighting for $12K, a fight. But hey, that exposure though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to throw a lot of the fighters who come in and through the Contender Series in the same basket, and then you have your outliers. Obviously, you get your Bo Nickals and stuff. But we're gonna keep seeing more of it. Now, did you mention that this is the last season, as in, like implying that they're not gonna do Dana White's Contender Series anymore?
No. The last episode of the season.
Gotcha. Sorry. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, because I didn't see any end in sight for it. Like they are, I'm sure they're really excited about flipping most of the roster and cutting a lot of people who pulled the same numbers as people that they brought up through the Contender Series, and that they have to pay way less. Versus you got. I mean, think of any like middle of the road heavyweight that they probably have to pay like $80K to show and $80K to win right now. Right, and they could just get some guy off the Contender Series.
They did it off that last card, right? We mentioned it. Like it was just all these guys. That
half of that card was Contender Series fighters.
Yeah, like 13 out of. So.
And that could mean like $1 million of difference in what they're having to pay out to the fighters in one night. And it's kind of sad that I had to say $1 million because it's not a lot in terms of prize fighting, but in the UFC it is. All right, it's time, dude. Mackenzie Dern, Yan Xiaonan. We get to talk. We get to talk some WMMA.
Let's talk some Megaton.
Megaton Diaz. Yes, the daughter of Megaton Diaz, Mackenzie Dern, with a record of 12-2, enters this is going to be at the Apex Center. Yeah, the Apex Center that
in front of
Mark Zuckerberg rented out, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And she faces Yan Xiaonan. Yan Xiaonan is coming off of a 2-fight losing streak. And she came up short against Carla Esparza and Marina Rodriguez. And I shouldn't even say she came up short against Carla Esparza, because I actually forgot that's one of Carla's only finishes in the UFC. I totally forgot that Carla finished her in round 2 with ground and pound from a crucifix position. Then she also has a loss to Marina Rodriguez, which I'm a big Marina Rodriguez fan, and I actually thought Marina Rodriguez lost that fight, but she won the split decision, so she's looking to snap a 2-fight losing streak to the surging Mackenzie Dern. Now, should I say surging? Let me take a look at Mackenzie Dern's record. She has that win over Tisha Torres that was not a win over Tisha Torres.
That fucking cost me thousands of dollars.
Both girls should actually be coming off of 2-fight losing streaks. But actually, Mackenzie Dern's last fight was a win over Tisha Torres, split decision win, and then also a loss to Marina Rodriguez, which I was very excited about. That was a really shocking fight because it kind of went how I was expecting. Marina Rodriguez was able to use her height, her physicality to kind of fend off the takedown, and then Mackenzie Dern got it down in the way that Mackenzie Dern knows how to, with just clumsiness, like running into you and grabbing you and catching Marina Rodriguez off balance, not really with a takedown. And then she ended up controlling her for a full round on the ground and didn't get the submission. So, Mackenzie Dern's like killer instinct, their like super high level, like predatory grappling jiu-jitsu almost kind of seems to not be there sometimes. And I feel like we've seen her do it to a lot of girls that have made us think that it's a little bit more dangerous than it is. And I don't know if that's going to get it done with Yan Xiaonan because of the improvements that she's made training in Sacramento with Team Alpha Male. I thought she looked really, really good in both of her previous outings. Yeah. The only thing that kind of gives me a little bit of apprehension is the fact that she almost armbarred herself against Carla.
Yeah, that was wild, right?
And we've mentioned that before. I've kind of like, I always kind of make fun of her for it. But she really, really turned things around, and I thought she looked great against Marina Rodriguez. But Marina Rodriguez is a much different fighter than Mackenzie Dern, and Mackenzie Dern brings a whole different threat, and it's also going to be a 5-round affair too. So it's a little hard to imagine that across 5 rounds, Mackenzie Dern won't get lucky and catch Yan Xiaonan crossing her feet and just get her down somehow. How do you see this fight playing out, Brandon?
I did not want to come out every time I come out hard against Mackenzie Dern and say like she's just not going to win, or she's just not good, or just whatever hating ass shit Brandon says. I'm a hating ass motherfucker, and I'm just going to keep doing it. She's going to get the fuck beat out of her. Yan Xiaonan's going to kick the shit out of her on Saturday night. Fucking, I don't know why I'm saying this. I had came into this. So we normally record on Mondays, so it's Wednesday today. Sunday night, I was thinking, just don't talk shit about Mackenzie Dern. You've looked fucking stupid. You've lost thousands of dollars because of her. You fucking embarrass yourself every single fucking time. But there's just nothing in me that can say like, because Yan Xiaonan has made like these goofball mistakes, but when she looks good, she's very good. It's not just like and god damn it, like WMA, like WMA is WMA. So there's a talent gap there. There's a gap between like the better fighters and the ones that are in like middle of the pack. Yeah. When Yan Xiaonan is doing her thing, she looks like a top tier fucking fighter and a technician, right? Which a lot of Chinese fighters do. They fucking evolve faster. No, dude, I'm trying to be serious. Zhang Weili, like the way she looks, the way she just fucking gets better every single time. Song Yadong, he just looks fucking better every single time. They don't regress. You know what I mean?
Good point.
You see it. Yeah. You see a ton, like, and it's just mental fortitude. It's a different culture. It's they don't. You get the sense that a Chinese fighter does not take their personal bullshit into fights with them. You know what I mean? Whereas you watch like a Rose Namajunas fight, she's gonna take her stupid fucking weak mental bullshit with her.
Yes.
And it's going to fucking cost her.
That mental bullshit is literally in her corner, speaking to her between rounds.
Yeah, right. Where that just, sorry for all of the wrongs that the CCP does, they do that singular mental fucking focus right. That's just the way they do. They will eat your lunch every fucking 7 days a week because they're just not going to allow emotions to fucking kill shit for them. They may overdo it and be overzealous or not be as get talented. which Yan Xiaonan may not be as physically gifted, talented as Mackenzie Dern, especially in the grappling department. That's not science. That's not galaxy brain to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like someone who has gone through the level and then doing what's super fucking smart, which Song Yadong has done, which is go to Team Alpha Male, where that's an amazing fucking place to go if you're going to fight someone who is really only going to beat you by taking you to the ground.
That's a really good point too.
Sorry about that.
They've dealt with these types of fighters.
Yeah, sorry about that, dog. Like, you like taking people to the ground in a clumsy ass, weird fucking trip down, fucking looks like Scooby-Doo type of way. That's not gonna fucking happen.
You could literally
where they're like
sound effects.
they're under the sheet, and then all of a sudden fucking Shaggy and Scooby are fighting each other, and that fucking ghost is gone. That's not going to happen.
Or you baited them into trying to hit an arm throw you, and you'd reversed it. You got the wizard.
It's not going to fucking happen here. And she's not, and she's going to be better than what you've been watching. And then the fact that she's coming off of losses is going to just fucking amp that up to fucking 12. Like, the fucking knob is past 10, dude. This chick will not lose. She just is not going to lose.
And going back to that, like, Mackenzie Dern MO that you mentioned too, it's also like she's not like she's only going to get you down in this like cartoonish kind of like fumbling like wrestling attempt. And what also happens if you were ever to draw her into a brawl, she will like literally just, you'll see her IQ getting like going down throughout the fight, and she will get like decide like, I need to punch back this much harder. And rely on like the few combinations that she has like in the stand-up. And that's the thing too. It's like if you can kind of draw her into that brawl, and not a full-on brawl because she doesn't truly brawl. It's just the way that she like sloppily throws her punches, but has shown that she has power is how she's willing to close the distance. So it kind of looks like brawling. But yeah, dude, you got me so convinced now.
Yeah, it sucks that I always do this, and then I'm gonna be like, "What's the line?" Hey, it's actually not quite the first. Well, it is the first, but Rin's already signed. Rin's already done. Like, you're good. Just go ahead. And then it's going to be like, oh, fuck, my kids are going to be fucking opening up cup noodles for Christmas.
Mackenzie Dern she's kind of, it's frustrating.
This is going to be the second fight where she's gone through sparring in her camp. How are you in a main event, and this is only the second time you've gone through sparring in a camp?
Looking at her record, literally the last 4 fights I've called wrong for Mackenzie Dern.
Right. Same.
Because she's just one of those fighters for me that it's just no matter what I pick, it's the other way around.
Doesn't make sense.
Virna Jandiroba, I thought Jandiroba was going to beat her. I mean, that fight still kind of went how I expected it to. I just thought Jandiroba was going to get the better of her. Nina Nunes, that was kind of a dumb pick on my part, but I've seen Nina outstrike Tatiana Suarez, so I thought to myself, like, if Nina can't outstrike Mackenzie Dern, then Nina's got other problems. So I picked Nina in that fight. I came up wrong. When I finally lost faith in Marina Rodriguez a bit, I was thinking I was probably just more scared for Marina in this fight, and I thought like Mackenzie Dern's probably going to sub her. Nope, didn't happen. And then Tisha Torres, we know where, you knew where I stood with Tisha Torres too.
Yeah.
Fight, but you've totally got me convinced.
It stops here, dude. It stops. Just because
can't keep getting away with it.
Dude, literally, dude. And then so like I start thinking about it like about Sunday. Like, what am I going to say tomorrow? And then I was like, do not go against Mackenzie Dern. You've done it too many times. You look fucking stupid. You get irrational and you get fucking angry. And there's nothing wrong with her, dude. There's nothing wrong. It's not a personal thing. I don't know her. I mean, fuck, dude. Who the fuck, again, I'll say it again. Who the fuck am I? You know what I'm saying? Right. And then, Mackenzie Dern, it just does not.
Team sex. Team stud muffin. That's, you shouldn't call women stud muffins, but sure, let's all say that too.
Come on.
But I also like that there is somebody of that level of jiu-jitsu like in any division. Like, I think it's an interesting foil for anybody to just have that shark out there who's like always going to be a threat if they can get you on the ground. So I appreciate her presence in the division for that, if nothing else, because that doesn't really exist at flyweight right now. there's not a girl out there in the flyweight top 15 who you're like, okay, she's clearly flawed, but if she gets you down, it's fucking over. So I think that it's always interesting to have that dynamic in any given division.
Man, I just she's gonna get the shit kicked out of her. There's just no other way to see it. And then tell me I'm wrong, dude. Yan Xiaonan, when she's getting down, when she's really fucking in it, she does make these dumb mistakes, but it's just over. I think it's over analysis kind of thing. It's not like she's just not good enough and she was flying too close to the sun and she just fucked herself over, where she just out over her skis. She's never out over her skis. I don't think there's any fighter in that division that is just that much fucking better than she is. Mm-hmm. And Mackenzie Dern is not close to it. I mean, and the only thing that she really has a chance to beat her in, Yan Xiaonan is fucking making for goddamn sure that's not going to fucking happen.
She's working on it right now. Yeah. I mean, because Carla Esparza got her out of her element on the ground. And so it's easy to look at that and look at Mackenzie Dern, who's physically bigger than Carla Esparza, and think like, okay, could she do the same? Even if she wasn't necessarily going like that aggressively for a submission, could she do that? But Mackenzie Dern's never really been so much about position over submission. She is just, once it's on the ground, it's a scramble. It's a scramble, and I'm trying to grab a limb, and we're going. I'm not as concerned with just holding you in place and winning rounds, and she wants to get the finish and get that submission of the night. So it's not quite an analog, like a 1-to-1 comparison. But like you said, though, if any team is going to get Yan Xiaonan ready for that, it's Team Alpha Male for sure.
And also, one thing too is, in mixed martial arts, you see like there's the Brazilians, there's Dagestanis, which kind of is a team and a style, but those guys are kind of spread out too. Kazakhstan, Russian, Moldovan. There's just all these different. None of them really feel like a team. You know what I'm saying? Like the Brazilian soccer team, you kind of know what you're getting, or the American basketball team. I feel like with Chinese mixed martial artists, they seem like a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though they're training in different places, they kind of all seem like there's just like a singularity to them. There's like, and I'm not getting. I'm saying like they've all Li Jingliang, Wei Li Zhang, Song Yadong. They're progressing almost on the same level, and they're all getting better around the same time. And I feel like Yan Xiaonan is the OG, fucking triple OG of these people. And she's like the captain of that fucking team. And she's going to fucking show it. Like, the Chinese mixed martial arts has just been getting better, and we've seen it. And it's scary. It's scary how good they've gotten. And so I really just think she's going to put an exclamation point on that and kind of be like, okay, all these guys are progressing. Now it's my fucking turn to show you guys, like, check out what I can do now. Mm-hmm.
So it's unanimous. We're both picking Yan Xiaonan now.
She's gonna kick the shit out of her. Please kick the shit out of her.
I can see the wheels starting to fall off by late round 3 for Mackenzie Dern, because Yan Xiaonan's going to be moving. Her movement, her lateral movement, she's not going to be there for the wild exchanges that Mackenzie Dern's going to want to use to try and get the fight to the ground, and to try and close the distance and get the fight to the ground. She shouldn't be, anyways.
Yeah.
But let's see if they're okay. We don't have to cover too much else from the fight, because I have a few different like headlines and random things that we can talk about also.
This one kind of sucked, because this one should have been this card should have been fucking wild. Cody
versus Hanayaya.
And then it should have been fucking Super Sadiq and Giga Chikadze, right? That card could have been way fucking different. Yeah. I think Sadiq's fighting like someone,
Don Shainis, who's making his UFC debut. But if there is any fight here that you don't even necessarily have to give a breakdown, but if there's what's your sleeper pick, like the fight you would tell somebody to not miss, whether it be on the main card, the prelims, anything?
the Latifi fight is gonna be pretty. I mean,
be fun.
Yeah, that's a fun one to watch. Like, just chill out and watch it.
I would say
Alexei Olenek 60 fights or what is it? Something like that. Like he has 60. It's like 70 something total
like
fights.
77 fights.
Gee,
his record is 60-16-1. Dude's
and that's a good spread. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean,
you
that's not like 60-40 something.
No,
that's like he wins like 30 times for every fucking loss or something wild, you know.
And doesn't take very much damage either, because he just like gets you down and smothers you and gets you in like an Ezekiel choke or something. Yeah.
That's gonna be a low key good one. And just watching Sadiq Youssef is fun. He's a little chinny. And from what I've read, the guy he's fighting can catch you, but it just sucks for him because he's not going to win. And what's so weird is that, like, why are they getting a guy that hasn't fought to fight Sadiq Youssef? You would think in that division, they'd be clamoring to fight someone who's ranked. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to get my name out there. I can be a showcase fight. Like, why wouldn't I against a super ranked guy? I should just jump out there and do it. So that should tell you like how good Sadiq Youssef is. Like, the guys know who the fuck they want to fight and they don't.
Yeah, the gentleman that he's fighting has a record of 12-3, and he's coming from Cage Titans, where he just won their Cage Titans FC Featherweight Championship.
Shout out, Cage Titans, powerful.
And then before that, he fought in, let me see what this acronym stands for. It just says FAC, and that is Fighting Alliance Championship. And there he won their FAC Lightweight Championship. So it's pretty interesting that he just won. Oh, no, but right before that, he was fighting in Cage Titans. So he was jumping around. He was fighting in two promotions at the same time. So he's two-promotion champion, which is probably pretty rare. I'm sure they'll probably mention something about that in the promo. So, yeah, here he is in a belt, or having a belt strapped on him somewhere in the regionals. So, I mean, it could be an interesting fight. We don't know about it, so we're about Don Shanis. I've never seen him fight, so we're having to speculate a little bit. But I mean, that's got to be worth something that he's holding two belts from regional promotions coming into this fight.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, who's ever listening, Super Sadiq Youssef is fucking awesome. I really enjoy watching this guy's fight. Whoever the fuck he's fighting, I'm gonna watch it and just watch. He's very pleasing to the eye to watch a guy like him.
Don Shanis is the number 2 ranked featherweight in the New England area.
Oh wow, that's saying something. Kelvin Cater's there, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, but only in the regionals. Once he's officially in the UFC, then he won't qualify for regional rankings anymore. At least not in Tapology. So shout out to Tapology for even getting that deep into it. Because I mean, you have some guys on here who it's like John Castaneda versus Daniel Santos, and Daniel Santos is the 112th ranked bantamweight worldwide.
Yeah.
Hey, don't bother.
Yeah. Hey, guy. Okay, so if they let him chill backstage, but they don't let Johnny Walker chill backstage, that's fucked up.
Good point.
If he's just chilling eating shrimp, he's like, man, shrimp cocktail's good, huh? And like they're just like, what the fuck?
I would recommend to anybody who's going to catch this card, don't miss the Raoni Barcelos versus Trevin Jones fight. I think that's going to be.
Barcelos is always,
yeah, he's like the next level Edson Barbosa. The dude is just super dynamic, knees from the clinch, killer leg kicks, super exciting. Yeah. That Brazilian Muay Thai style.
Yes, and I'm kicking myself because we've mentioned him on this podcast before, where it's like Edson Barbosa on was that Street Fighter mode when you could play in fucking on Sega, and then they had Turbo. Remember Street Fighter Turbo, where it's like, well, it's Street Fighter 2, but it's Turbo, and you're like, why? Well, click Turbo mode, and then their shoulders move faster. It's like this is Raoni Barcelos is Edson Barbosa on Turbo mode.
That's a fun comparison. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Trevin Jones really has much of a shot against him, but I think it should be an exciting fight. I think it might mostly be one-way action.
If Trevin Jones is able to walk out of there, like his legs aren't just fucking beat to shit, that's a win.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't think it's going to be a close fight. It may even be a shutout, but I think it's still going to be exciting, and there's never any reason to miss a Raoni Barcelos fight, especially if he's the showcase fight of the night. It's like third from the top. A lot of good stuff there. Let's talk about, I haven't even glanced at how far are we in. Oh, a minute 15. Cool. We've got about 15 minutes. Let's talk about some current events in mixed martial arts, some fights that got booked. Let's start with Aspen Ladd being cut from the UFC.
Oh, shit. I was like, here we go. Oh.
Dana White on Aspen Ladd's UFC release. It had to happen. Dana White's quote, "We tried to work with her. She's a great kid. She's a really nice person. It's never fun when you have someone who's actually talented. She's a talented fighter, but part of the job is making weight. She's not made weight so many times. It had to happen. Not something you want to do, but something that had to be done." I'm glad. I mean, I'm not glad like I have anything against Aspen Ladd, really. But yeah, she was just getting rewarded for missing weight over and over.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I've shared the video with you in our group chat, so I don't need to like remind you about it. But to anyone not listening, there's an MMA junkie video interview of hers from like 4 years ago after she blew weight with who was her opponent? Leslie Smith, I think. And they're asking like what happened, how are you feeling now? And she was just like, well, I'm sorry, but I don't understand why she didn't just take the fight. And you can tell she's always had that mentality. She's never dropped it. It's always just been like, well, who cares? They could just take the fight anyways. And yeah, a talented bantamweight, when she can make bantamweight, she should be fighting at featherweight because it's clear that she can't make that weight anymore. My biggest hang up with this also is the amount of people online that I saw that were defending her weight misses by saying, well, it's not fair though, because there's not, like, featherweight's barely even a division, so she doesn't really have a division to fight in, so she needs to fight at bantamweight to have like relevant opponents. And it's like, there is literally a feather. I mean, yes, they don't even have rankings for the featherweight division, but there's a champion there. Like, there's Amanda Nunes is at the top, and she's holding a belt. Like, you actually can fight. Like in her last fight with Macy Chiasson, she missed weight, and they rewarded her by giving her a main event on the next card, and that was at featherweight. So it's like, you can't say that there is not a featherweight division to fight in. Loma Luke Boonmi, who would definitely benefit from fighting at 105 pounds at atomweight, she literally cannot fight at atomweight. There is no atomweight division in the UFC. Like, she has more of a grounds to complain about it than Aspen Ladd does.
The thing that I will not miss is Aspen Ladd having that fucking like Casey Anthony face, where it's like, you know, like when they're like walking into court and they just look guilty as fuck. Mm-hmm. Every fucking time she misses weight, she just has that face, like that fucking Casey Anthony face, like, I killed my daughter. And they're just like fucking just guilty as fuck. She just always had that sad, boom, 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 and he was like, "Don't manipulate me with your eyes. Don't manipulate me. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what you fucking did. You knew you had to do it. It wasn't like they go, oh shit, you have to cut weight. I'm like, what? You didn't tell me that. Mm-hmm. No, you've known since you decided you wanted to be a fucking fighter. You have to cut weight. So don't give me that shit."
And to anybody who wants to like, or is listening to this right now, is like, well, what are two fat podcasters who've never had to make weight? Like, what are you going to say about it? But that's not the point, though. The point is that there are other fighters who were showing up on weight, who she screwed over, who got screwed out of fights, who had to go home with nothing, not even their show money. And Sarah McMahon, now, she didn't even get her last fight in the UFC. She ended up testing out free agency and just going elsewhere. I mean, Sarah McMahon is probably like one of the worst examples because she's like in her 40s now. She's not going to be relevant for too much longer. She has to go and chase the bag a little bit if she hasn't made too much money in her career. But we're not complaining because of the honor of making weight. We're complaining because of the other athletes who have had to deal with it and end up getting screwed over when they decide to not take the fight and deal with their bullshit. But
it would be like me doing this podcast where I'm like, I know I need headphones. I know I need some type of microphone, some type of digital device, but I'm calling in from like a prison phone, like X-rated, doing a fucking
creeping through that door with the motherfucking mask on. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can't fucking. And then like saying like, oh well, like what do you want me to do? You know? No, I knew I needed a microphone and a fucking and some headphones and something to digitally record myself. So I can't just. It's not like you're like, oh, hey Brandon, you know podcasting. You're gonna have to. You're gonna need to record yourself with something. And I'm like, what? So yeah, that's not how that works. And then just like act like a victim that it's my like stupid ass fucking rules of podcasting are that I have to speak into a microphone. No.
And the next thing that I know people are going to, people would actually have to listen to our show to have anything to say about it. But another thing I've seen a lot of people to say is like, well, why is it okay when Khamzat Chimaev does it or when Paulo Costa does it? And I challenge you to find any indication of me or Brandon ever saying it was okay when they did it.
Yeah, totally not. Unacceptable.
I did not like it when Paulo Costa did that and was dicking around Marvin Vettori, and Marvin Vettori just had to play ball and go with it. Like, no, it's really not cool. They might be a bit more charming, and they're able to spin it a little bit more than Aspen Ladd does, because like you said, Aspen Ladd just goes up there with that Casey Anthony look and just kind of like, feel bad for me. They're, this girl's still going to take the fight because we all get to get paid. It's like, no. Paulo Costa just had the benefit of having a guy who's game as fuck in Marvin Vettori, who's just like, I don't give a fuck, bro. We're going to go.
And the records, let's look at the records. Like, it's not like Aspen Ladd had that. It wasn't like Amanda Nunes' type of fucking record and aura, and she's not bringing that into the fight. Whereas like Paulo Costa is the fucking eraser. Khamzat Chimaev is a fucking animal. Like they're coming out and they're giving you a fucking product. Where Aspen Ladd, like, it just might not be that entertaining. So it's like, at the very least, you might as well just fucking be the weight you were contracted to make. Like, why not?
That's completely valid, because I consider myself a big WMMA fan. Never gave a shit to watch an Aspen Ladd fight.
Right.
She's kind of been broken ever since Jermaine Durandamy knocked her out. After that, I've seen all the light just completely gone from her eyes in any of her matchups. After that, just it's hard to say what it is. I do think that like she could be a relevant fighter at featherweight outside the UFC, and I actually would totally look forward to her going to PFL and lining up to potentially fight Kayla Harrison, because why not? Kayla needs the opponents, and then she can fight at 155 then too. She doesn't even have to make featherweight, because there's the insistence that it was because there's not a deep enough featherweight division for her. Like, she is not owed a deep featherweight division to keep her from screwing over her opponents by not making weight.
Yeah, and all the shit we give to Dana and the UFC for whatever business practices they do, they're very clear about what it is. They're clear. This is how it is. These are the rules. You want to do it? Follow the rules. And so,
Arman Tsarukyan versus Damir Ismagulov, booked for UFC on a UFC Fight Night card. I'm assuming it's a Fight Night card on December 17th. We last saw these two when Arman Tsarukyan took on Mateusz Gamrot back in June, which was, so far, it's still getting my nod for fight. Well, hold on.
It's a
close one.
Dick moves, like, not dick move like they did something rude. Like, sitting there watching that level of fighting makes your dick move. Like, that fucking was so fun. It's like beyond watching any type of, like, there's just no breakdowns. Like, even the guys who fucking break the shit down and have been in there had a hard time really explaining the level of fucking technique that went into that fight.
Yeah, neither guy settling for any position. There's like literally don't have time to break down what's happening in the scrambles. These guys, they're not giving them any breaks at all. Somebody either doesn't like Arman or doesn't like Damir Ismagulov or doesn't like both of them, because Damir Ismagulov just fought Guram Kutaladze, who's a guy who can easily be in the top 10 sometime this year or going into 2023. And his other notable wins in the UFC include Rafael Alves and Thiago Moises. Damir Ismagulov Kazakhstan fighter, undefeated in the UFC right now. I think he's like on a 9-fight winning streak. Let me take a look.
Yeah. So Arman will have fought Alvarez, Islam Makhachev, Mateusz Gamrot, and now this gentleman, and he's 25 years old.
Yeah. Arman's insane. I mean, why are they making these killers fight each other this early?
How does a motherfucking God damn it! But how does how does a Sugar Sean O'Malley get to do what he gets to do, and then this is just I literally the guys that Arman Tsarukyan's fought could all say that they're top one. They're apex predators, dude.
Yeah,
that's hard mode all the way through.
I don't know, man. Sugar Sean, smoke weed and say bullshit, man.
Yeah. Did you see his Anatomy of a Fighter?
No. I mean, I saw that guy had spent some time with him and posted.
Yeah.
It was what's his name? Tony Williams. I forget. I should look it up and give him his props because that guy puts out great content.
Dude, I was I hated on Sean O'Malley. I like Sean O'Malley a lot, and then I hated on him, and then now that he took the Yan fight, it's fuck yeah, dude. Dude, his life is pretty fucking dope. That's pretty fucking sick. He has his own apartment to play video games on Twitch. He has a fucking sick ass apartment, and he makes crazy money from Twitch and podcasting and his YouTube channel.
It's a podcast too, yeah.
Yeah, he's so go ahead and fucking hate me. I don't care. What the fuck? This shit's fucking sick. I just get high all day and play video games, and then I fight.
Tony Clark MMA, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Who does the Anatomy of a Fight? Oh no, wait, no. I think I might be confusing him for someone else.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll link him in our in the
it's Will Harris, I think.
Will Harris. There you go. Yeah, right.
He had the craziest stories on Rogan Experience. That's the only reason why I remembered his name. When he was on Joe Rogan, he went to Thailand or whatever, or he went to some crazy ass country, Singapore or somewhere, to play professional basketball, and then it didn't go through. So then he was just banging chicks to live in apartments.
And I saw that he posted on his Instagram too that he used to try and he was trying to be a rapper at one point and stuff. He was posted up by his car and everything.
Yeah, and then he was he had to beg to get a one-way ticket back home, and he had no job. He just had a regular ass camera. The fucking Habib Anatomy of a Fighter is just it's Oscar worthy level shit, dude.
Yeah, that where they're all having lunch, they're all at a table, and you got Henry Cejudo and Gaethje and I think Kayla Harrison are all there, and Kayla and Cejudo are arguing about whether judo or wrestling is more difficult and stuff, and they have that's I think that's the first one I've ever seen of his.
Oh, okay.
Of Will Harris's work of the Anatomy of a Fighter. Yeah, super, super fascinating. Give him a follow. Some of the best MMA content in the game, for sure. Going back to Sugar Sean, I don't dislike Sugar Sean as a fighter. I think he's a really entertaining fighter. He clearly has a lot of talent. He's a super.
I don't like that
boxer.
Basketball shit he does, where he's dribbling the basketball and punching at the same time. There's no reason to do that. And there's just no reason to do that.
You gotta stop that. No,
look who you're fighting.
I don't mind it. He's got his style, and I like his actual style of fighting. I think he's clearly overhyped. You know what I mean? He's not quite there yet. He's not him, but I think he could be. I think he's going to be. I think he has all the potential to stay within the top 10 of the bantamweight division, which is saying a lot because bantamweight is super deep. I just think that he's kind of a victim of his own popularity, and he's been smart about it. He knows okay, I know I have all the potential in the world, but I also know that my popularity is this much further than that, and that's going to mean I'm going to have to start fighting killers. And he was smart to just be openly say no, with what they pay me right now, I'm perfectly fine to fight unranked guys. I actually that kind of brought me around to him. I'm not fully a Sean O'Malley fan. But I think that guy has a lot more self-awareness in the sport, a level of self-awareness that a lot of other fighters desperately need. So
No, it just was striking to me, and I forgot because I remember when he first came out, I was like, man, this guy's sick. I love the way he fights. I love anybody who fights like that. And then he just started with that shit he did against like Chris Matinho.
Mm-hmm.
That shit just that was the fight that turned me all the way off.
Really?
Like that just, dude. We know who Chris Matinho is. Why did you have to do that? And then there was which one was the fight where the guy got this last one against Pedro Munoz, where the fight was stopped, and then he's like fucking shadow dribbling, trying to fucking do fadeaway jump shots. Like, no, dude, that was a stoppage. Like, the guy's hurt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? And you're like, yeah, thanks a lot, Joe. I love you, Joe Rogan. It's like, dude, what?
He's obnoxious. It's that troll culture. Like, he knows that is going to, you're either going to have your fans who already like you and they're going to laugh at that stuff and eat it up, or you're going to piss off people who don't really know you so well and they're still going to know your name.
And that's what he was talking about in this Anatomy of Fighters. Like, he plays video games with these guys, so like his fan base is like very, very. It's like that Patreon level where it's like, okay, I don't need 1 million people to download me for free on Apple downloads. I can have 3,500 people pay $50 a month, and I'll make way more money. And then I'll be able to make targeted content to those people, and they're going to fucking be rabid for me. Yeah. And that's what he does. He plays video games and talks shit about fights.
You get a hungry pack of like 18 to 27-year-olds who are willing to like be in your live chat during your Twitch stream and pay
and like give you $10,
$5 per comment, so that their comment comes up highlighted, so you have to read it. And yeah, that kind of engagement and interactivity is big for that generation. So we might find out in the future that Sean O'Malley is one of the smarter guys in the game. Like for different reasons.
I'm not going to doubt that. He is. I mean, he alluded to that. He's like, okay, so there are guys in my division or other fighters who are just, no matter what I do, as hard as I train, I will never be as good as them. Mm-hmm. And he said that. He's like, I'll just never be as good as them. He's like, I'm very good. I'm competitive as fuck. I want to be better, but I won't. But I'm driving a Lamborghini to work. I have a fucking apartment that I just play video games in, and that's all I do. I get high all day and kick it with rappers. So that you just get that level of hatred, and I can't help it. Should I not do it because I can't? Like, even though I can, should I not, to make you feel better? Fuck you. And I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense, dude.
I think for us, like, I don't want people to conflate it with us recognizing, because guys like you and I, we get more annoyed by the person who sees that and equates that to him being the best fighter.
Yes.
Like, it's the guy.
Thank you for saying it that way. Yeah. Thank you very much.
It's the guy on Instagram who will post on any like Conor McGregor related like post and be like, love him or hate him, he's got more money than any of these other chumps, so he's the best. It's like, are you watching the Ultimate Money Championships?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, hey, guy.
Are you a fight fan or a money? Finances fan.
It's those guys like, so we're sitting down, it's the end of the pay-per-view, we watched whatever, and this is going to be the dickhead I'm smelling my own farts comment of the night, but I understood who's fighting, I understood their style, where they fight, how they do it, whatever, okay. And then you get to the end of the night, and then you're like a Sadiq Youssef is like the Kurt Jerker for that pay-per-view. And then Conor McGregor comes out, and they're like, this is the best fighter on the whole fucking card. He's the fucking greatest that ever fucking lived. Look at the way he's walking. Do you see the way he's walking? That's fucking cool. And it's like, oh, God, fucking damn it, dude.
I could almost hear Mike Goldberg. Rabid for Sugar Sean are these fans, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else. What other?
And they love him. He's
fights?
A fucking savage.
He's got that look in his eye. Speaking to Portuguesa, Nassourdine Imovov versus Kelvin Gastelum is booked to headline a UFC Fight Night on January 14th. It's kind of a fucked up fight. I mean, credit to Kelvin Gastelum. He still to this day, he probably gave Israel Adesanya his toughest fight in that division. but he is 1-6 in his previous 7 fights, and it really strikes me as them feeding him to Nassourdine Imovov, and they're probably really starting to get ready to get behind Nassourdine Imovov in a promotional sense, because Kelvin Gastelum is a guy who is, I don't want to disrespect him and call him washed, because a lot of the guys that he's been fighting have been like the killers of that division too.
He fights animals. Yeah,
Israel Adesanya,
fight another animal. Yeah.
Robert Whitaker, Jack Hermanson, Darren Till, but
oh yes,
but yeah, he has name value, but he's seemingly over the hill a little bit. So they're really setting Nassourdine Imovov up here to kind of like shine bright and get his name out there in a way that he hasn't been able to with his previous opponents. So that's how I see it.
I just don't. Kelvin Gastelum, you want him to fuck as much as you want him to come out. Nassourdine's looked so good in his last few fights, and he's just the talent is there to. And yeah, you're right, dude. Just they're feeding him to him, and it just kind of sucks. Yeah, they're trying to like push his clout entry, like somehow like push his clout onto Imovov.
And I want to see if I could find it really
where it's quick. Not like Highlander. They're trying to do the Highlander thing where like if you beat him, you take all his power. Like you get all of the guys that he's beat before. That's not how that works.
No. Kelvin Gastelum is a guy that right now they are paying $180,000 per fight, who, like I mentioned, is like 1-6 in his last 7 fights.
Yeah, so let's not feel too bad for him. Yeah.
Now let me see if I could find what Nassourdine's base pay is. Oh, please tell me that's old. Please tell me that doesn't say $4,000.
No.
No. Oh no. Hold on, what website is this? MMA Junkie? UFC Fight Night 210, promotional guidelines, compliance pay. Nassourdine Imovov, where is he? Is he even on here? I don't see his name. No, wait. Okay, I'm not gonna find it. Screw that. But yeah, I'm sure that they're more than happy to get out, some of the older fighters who they're paying a lot. I mean, we've talked about this before. They probably don't pay Nassourdine Imovov half of what they pay Kelvin Gastelum. So if they can give them that promotional rub by getting him a win over Kelvin Gastelum, and then just kind of like taking Kelvin out with the trash, setting up.
I will say the one fight before the Arman Tsarukyan that got made today, the one fight that I really was looking forward to is the Bryce Mitchell and Masvidal fight that's coming up. That's going to be a fucking banger.
That's a great one at bantamweight too. Or is that a featherweight? No, it's bantamweight. Ooh, bantamweight is so damn good. Yeah, that one gets props too. I wanted to ask you this specifically. Did you think that Kevin Holland would still be retired by the time we recorded another podcast? From the time
I thought they would have booked something. I thought he's like playing hardball or,
I thought so too, but I don't know if he just kind of let his time in the spotlight or, you know what I mean, kind of be.
He'll be back.
I think so too. I really doubt he's retired, but if you would have put a gun to my head and said, like, predict, like, when he'll be back, I would have said, like, he'll officially still be fighting for the UFC within a couple days. So yeah, he's playing hardball a little bit.
Is he out? Is he out of the? And I don't know. Not trying to make it so like I know how that works, but is he out of like the testing pool? Has he like withdrawn?
Let me take a look at this article that I'm looking at right now. First round without absorbing.
But the thing of it is too, I think he's playing negotiation hardball, and also he probably just does not want to fight for the holidays. He does not want to miss Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Like, he probably wants to fight like around.
This is like
probably in March, and this is just like, oh, I was retired, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point there. If he really wants to make sure he doesn't get booked, it's a good way to just be like, forget my name for the next few months. We'll talk next year. Dana White said, we talked about that. Obviously, you know I'm really close to this kid, and I like him a lot. I think when you are competing in a sport like this and you've done the things that Kevin Holland has done, you know, he gets out of the fight with Brunson and realizes he needs to work on his wrestling more. So he dives in, starts working on his wrestling. And I think when that happens to him, when that happened to him, when what happens to him happens to you, I don't know. I think you lay in bed at night and go, holy shit, how did that happen to me? So Dana White seems to think that Khamzat Chimaev broke Kevin Holland. Which, I mean, I guess that's one way to think about it. You can't necessarily rule that out.
Yeah.
Once you've, like, Kevin Holland.
I mean, Khamzat Chimaev was retired, remember?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, COVID almost retired him. But yeah, to feel the difference of what Khamzat Chimaev brings relative to the guys that Kevin Holland has fought, that's not completely off base for Dana White to assume that. But we both still think that he's just holding out. This is negotiating.
He'll be back.
And he's a guy who probably recognizes that he needs to do that now before they potentially snipe him and he ends up on an even worse losing streak. So while Kevin Holland still demands a bit of like promotional favor, like he's got to cash in on that right now. Let's see. What other news articles or recently booked fights that I have ready for you? Shane Burgos versus Marlon Moraes slated for 2022.
Oh yeah, what the fuck, guys?
A PFL championships bout. They're both going to be making their PFL debut, and they'll be fighting for a PFL championship, which is interesting. They're not hiding the fact that they're like, yes, UFC veterans, come to us, legitimize us, and I'm for it. But that is the most MMA retirement ever, though. Like, I don't even think he was retired.
Gone, but Shane Burgos is a fucking monster. Good for him. If there's anybody that I'm happy for, it's him.
No, that's great. Like I didn't picture. I mean, I pegged the PFL for a good place for Shane Burgos to end up. I think anybody who finds himself in free agency right now, who is a decent fighter, should go over to the PFL and try and get that $1 million payday. That's a lot better of an opportunity than some of them are going to find anywhere. But yeah, when Shane Burgos announced that he would be testing free agency and leaving the UFC, I did not imagine that so soon we would hear that he's going to be potentially fighting for, or potentially going to be a PFL champion, because I mean I would probably pick him over Marlon Moraes at this point.
Yeah,
Marlon's been looking. But yeah, that's an interesting one. That's one I'll be sure to tune into. I don't know if I have that much of a take on how the fight would look this early, but that will be. When is there a date for that? No, just slated for 2022. And this article was posted yesterday, so I guess they don't have a set date for it yet. Just it's going to be happening this year, which is still a pretty fast turnaround.
That is pretty wild considering Burgos fought last month? Fought in the London card, did he?
Let me pull it up. Hurricane Shane. Oh no. Tapology. I don't like the way that I like their fight finder, like their record, how it's presented, but to actually punch in a fighter's name. Yeah, he fought Charles Jordan. Yeah, he fought 2 months ago.
Yeah.
UFC on ABC 3.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Well, man, I don't really have anything else. At least nothing pulled up. Brad Tavares versus Gregory Rodriguez set for UFC 283 in Brazil. Banger alert. I think Brad Tavares was one of the guys I mentioned that I would like to see fight Chidi Njokuani, but give me Brad Tavares versus Gregory Rodriguez all day.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's fucking great. In Brazil. Awesome stuff.
The Facebook deal?
The Zuckerberg. You know what? Yeah, that's right.
Who cares?
I mean, I don't really know what it entails either. All I know is that they're not having pressers, like press conferences, or like the pre-fight.
No, they're going to have like regular stuff, but they're not going to have, for whatever reason. But it looks a lot like they're doing it because if you're going to rent out someplace for a huge fucking global megalomaniac, you'd probably do that. You probably want to skip they'll probably have them like oh, you get a all-you-can-eat buffet with Zuckerberg instead of having to talk to the fucking. And I guess the press isn't allowed in, right?
I would assume like, not, but I really don't know. All I know is that Mackenzie Dern had spilled the beans and said that, like, oh yes, so Mark Zuckerberg rented the whole thing out, and then Dana White's since denied it, which is like, why even
dumb
why
bitch.
even deny it? Like, what do you even get out of denying it? Like, are you just going halfway? Or I mean, even if he didn't like rent it out, or if he's not going to be present or whatever, of course he's going to be present, but. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know anything about it. I feel like an old man. Kind of wondering, like, what are people going to be watching fights in the metaverse? What the fuck is going on? I think it makes sense that Dana White would only let him do it with a truly less than card. With the
card he's not going to say like, "Hey, Yas Island's rented out. We're not going to let any of these oil barons watch it because, yeah, right, sure."
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to take you to our fucking marquee card and be encumbered by your VR metaverse bullshit. I don't know. Maybe that would be interesting for the youngins, for the kids, to get the next generation of MMA fans. Anyways, yeah, thanks for being with me again, Brandon. I will see you next weekend so we can talk about that Mackenzie Dern, Yan Xiaonan fight. Have a good one, man.